yard, showing some of our early drills. Those are some of, I think, the original Van Brunt seed drills that my great-grandpa used. There's one of his tractors. Every farm's like this. You got the old equipment laying around. Our dozer. This is some of our more current equipment that we use, or used at the time, should I say. Looking out over some old wheat stubble, and here we are. Here's one of our tractors, a 4430, I think a 1976 or 77 model. Somebody will correct me on that. With an aftermarket auxiliary fuel tank, you'll see on the front there. We're using our I think it's a white rollover or reversible plow. As you can see, you can go back and forth versus a one-way plow, as some people call it, where you have to kind of make a circle or a square in a sense. You can kind of see we made some guides with, most people would move the front wheels out, so you run the one wheel in the furrow, but here we made some guides so we didn't have to move the wheels and such. As everybody knows, on wheels that are movable like that, they're always frozen solid, rusted. Next thing here, we're getting ready to drill some wheat. We clean our wheat, clean it of all the trash and chaff and such that maybe the combine didn't get when we put it up last season. A lot of people don't do this. It also sorts the seeds to get the largest kernels, the ones that are for best germination. That's actually my mom in that shot there. We're putting on some chemical there, keeps the seed from being eaten in the ground. I'm not exactly sure the name of the chemical, but that's what that's for. That's why the mask. That's my mom filling the drills, and I'll slow it down here. You can see we ran a double drill setup here, and this is our kind of homemade drill fill auger. There's my dad, there's my sister. She's probably about 10 or 11 right there. As you see, we have like a 12-volt motor hooked up to our auger, and run it down and clip it on the battery. Looks like we're setting the seed rate or feed rate there. And man, just looking at this is before we converted to the hydraulics. Still had to do it by hand to put the drill in the ground and set the depth. A lot of the old timers will remember that. I believe those are two IH 510 drills, and as you notice, they have the fertilizer boxes on the back. That's not something that's real common, at least in our area. But we fertilize down the row with our drill and seeders. We even do with our modern one. And I'll slow it down here. You can see that double hitch, and there's our track scratcher. Scratches the tracks from the duals. And unfortunately, this is all the footage I have of drilling with this double drill setup. It's kind of neat. It folds up for road travel, so they go in between. Day before harvest, just kind of, everybody does it. Walks out in the field, you kind of pick apart a few heads, see if put it in your mouth, you kind of can tell if it's sort of dry or not. And in this case, it was, if I remember. There's my dad. And our old workhorse here, we got the Massey 860, and those of you that are familiar with this combine, it's a pretty high capacity machine for its day. I mean, this is, I think, a 1982 model maybe. I gotta slow this down. This is one of my favorite shots, and anybody knows that's a hard shot to get because there's not much room to sit back there. And think of it, I'm about 13 maybe years old filming this, so this is one of my favorite segments in the whole video. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining in. If you're watching, we're going to start this live stream soon. We're just doing a little preview here of my farming in Nebraska video that I made. I uploaded to YouTube in early 2006, but I actually made this in the 90s. So it's a pretty old video. And I have Skull52EX. He's going to be game streaming over on his Twitch channel, Farming Simulator. But we're going to also talk about the release of Farm Sim 22. But we were just chit-chatting about what we're watching here on the video here. And this is just some old equipment and video from the farm I grew up on, and everything. I mean, it's still going, and this is just the old equipment here. And we're talking about in Farm Sim, I want to get either the mods for some of this vintage equipment that you're kind of seeing here right now. And you were telling me a little bit about it and such. And actually, before you get to it, that's me at age 14 there in that tractor right now. But anyway, tell me about the mods. Is there mods for some of this stuff that you're seeing here right now?
Yeah, some of this, not all of it. They never made a good grain truck like that. You had to get that from I shouldn't say they never made one. You had to get it from a third party. It was never on Giant's mod hub. But
Okay.
you could get grain carts that were very similar to
So
that.
they don't have old that's a Ford L9000, the Louisville is what they call it.
I never saw Fords. I could find Chevys all day long, but I couldn't find any Fords.
Tandem with the third drop axle and such. Here we're going to go to town here with the load of grain, actually. And actually,
but we were talking about that drill setup just before you came live, and
yeah, I might have to back that video up, but yeah.
there was something very similar that the reason why you never really saw me play with it was because it was just so hard to get down the road.
Oh, well, see,
it would be in real life too.
That double drill setup actually, for road transport, the hitch has a, kind of a U-shaped bend in it, and one of the wheels, you lock it, and then when you drive then forward, the hitch can then pivot, and then the drills will, as you move forward, will move together in line. So it's like pulling in line. So it's only the width of those seed drills. And I forget the exact row count. Those are International Harvester 510 drills, probably from 1970. I want to say mid 70s, maybe early 70s. I want to say they're 24 row or maybe a little wider. Anyway, somebody might know in the chat, but anyway, so you'd have 48. You could plant 48, at least 48 rows on that. I think.
Well, and so how they're used in the game was so one of those drills would have been in the one I'm thinking of. So it was a John Deere version of it, but it was basically the same thing, just John Deere version. And to buy those drills was pretty cheap in the game. So to get a wider width, because in Farm Sim everything's in meters. So I think something like that would have been about roughly 3 meters. And so to get 9 meters, then you needed 3 of them put together, and they made a toolbar that could connect all 3. And then you could cheaply afford all 3 drills and cheaply run this instead of spending 100,000 on you'd spend like 40,000 maybe. I'm just guessing like 12,000 a drill. You'd spend instead of spending like 140,000. So it was a cheap way to get you going.
I understand. Yeah, I understand that. That makes sense. Anyway, while you were chatting, with the video here, we forgot to point out when we're unloading at the elevator or getting weighing on the scale. Now they have the hydraulic and vacuum tester, so it sucks the grain into the office so they can do their moisture test. But that's the old, and you're old enough, you remember that too, where they'd actually stab it with a stick. You turn the knob on the top and it opens some holes in to get a suitable sample, and then they just put it into a coffee can and then took it in there, sifted it for the chaff to get your dock.
So ours didn't even, I mean, they guess maybe they had that, but actually what they used to do is that when you pulled in on the scale, they'd come out and they'd just take the coffee can and scoop a bunch out manually.
Well, okay. Well, at this one, obviously, they wanted to get down as far as they could in the box. And if you notice that particular truck, at the time, not a lot of people had that big of a truck. I want to say that truck hauls 650 or 700 bushel, I think. That box, I can't remember how big. But at the time, and you know this too, your dad and grandpa and uncles and everybody, cousins, had little straight trucks, little like 16-foot boxes, hauling 300 bushel was a big load, in those trucks.
Yeah. I think ours held 500 to 700.
Okay, yeah, and there was some bigger ones like that, but like they were a lot short. What I'm getting at is they were a lot shorter trucks. So there's our articulated four-wheel drive. That's an 8430, about a 1978.
That was also, I'm pretty sure that was in the game. I don't like driving that equipment because of the articulation. It gets really twitchy with the game remote. Really touchy with the game remote, and you could kind of make yourself seasick if you don't watch what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
The last version there was, so one of the ones that I really did like in the last version was they had this old case back in the 70s and 80s when they were white. I don't know what year it was. And
no, I know exactly which vintage.
It wasn't articulated, but it had rear steer on it, and that was so much easier to drive in the game.
Right. Actually, I think I've seen some other farm simmers. Hey, welcome in the chat, John. Let's see. Is Farm Simulator 22 out yet? Can you answer that?
It is not yet. It releases on Monday. The early access starts tomorrow, and the early access is only for the major streamers.
Yeah. And we're just chit-chatting because I'm actually kind of excited about it. Skull52, who you're hearing on the other side, he's already a farm simmer. He's looking forward. He's going to do when it drops, when it releases, he's going to do a couple-day live stream doing it. And the big deal is, I'm interested because cross-platform play, and that's why. And we're just watching some old video of my farm that I grew up on, and there's some audio to it here, but I'm showing how I kind of filmed it and edited this video way back in the 90s, and originally uploaded to YouTube back in 2006. You can find it on my YouTube channel here, but appreciate you joining in the chat. Don't forget the super chat if you want to support, if you like what we're doing here. We're going to get into it here shortly. We just thought we'd watch this video and kind of chat about the old equipment from our youth and whatnot. This is in our boneyard, what we're watching here. But
Remember
talk about
when
the
we
old
did
equipment,
that?
and like I want to get in the mods for that old equipment.
Yeah.
But
that drill might have actually been in game.
Well,
that was your starter drill.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And like here we go, we got rollover plow pulled by our 4430. Now I know you can get a 4430 in as a mod in there. I've seen other streamers do that, and that's a white, like obviously 5 bottom rollover, so you can go back and forth plowing. I mean, plowing's like not, with the move to like more
and
no-till.
we'll definitely talk about plowing tonight because that does have me a little concerned being part of the new game. So
Okay, yeah, we'll watch a little bit more of this video.
I definitely have some opinions on that. I'm interested in seeing what's in the game there, but yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later.
Now, John, in the chat there, if you're still, are you a farm simmer? Obviously, I would assume you are. But if you, what version or how long have you been playing? We'll just keep chatting. But thank you for joining in and viewing. Yeah, feel free to ask some questions or throw out some opinions on the new game coming or the old games. This is what we're watching right now is cleaning seed wheat before drilling the wheat. That's our old cleaner. We've got a much better setup now, but like I said, this was old days. And augering it into our truck, and then we kind of have our own makeshift drill fill auger. And explain this drill setup here. I was doing it earlier, but you said there's something like this in game, and if you look, you can kind of see the hitch setup for pulling these double drills.
Yeah, they did a triple.
Okay.
They had a triple in the game, but it was a mod. It wasn't actually part of the game. Someone modded it in, and it was just a cheaper way of going about doing it. Because the ground and the equipment costs money. When you can spend $40,000 on the whole complete setup compared to $140,000, it makes quite a difference.
Yeah.
So
well, I imagine here. Oh gosh, you can even see. I even forgot that's before we put the steel box on that truck. That's an old wooden box. That's actually my dad, just in the right there. And we have the fertilizer boxes on these here. So we fertilize down the rows. Still do that with our more modern air seeder, but yeah. Wow. I haven't watched this video in a really long time. Like I said, I made it a long time ago, uploaded it to YouTube a long time ago. It back then it got 200 and some thousand views or whatever, which was a lot in the early days of YouTube. Definitely tapered off because obviously the quality's not great, partially because the file had to be so compressed to get under the. There's the hitch. Should be able to see there, and then that's just track scratchers for the duals.
So you can run plow setups like that in the game, or disc setups like that in the game.
So pole type plows then, not mounted.
Yeah, and then have the seeder behind it.
Oh, all right. Yeah, cool.
In fact, that was in the very beginning of 19. That was a big saving grace because.
What pull type plows or mounted plows in the game?
Being able to attach a seeder to the back of the plow and doing it all at once.
Oh, okay. I've never seen that in real life. It probably exists, but there's our old 8430 Massey. Now, do they have those? I'm sure mods, but have you run across things like, vintage Massey stuff? Like I'm talking like the 70s stuff, like these kind of combines.
I can't think of one. I don't even know if I've seen one in the mods. I'm sure there's somewhere, but.
Well, that's the thing. You're gonna have to teach me all about it when I download it there. But
I mean, there's stuff that's similar enough, to that, but.
I see we got quite a few viewers out there. Say hello in the chat. Don't forget the super chat. It'll highlight your comment. We'll see it, and it helps support this stream and everything we do to get it going there. So feel free to join in the chat. But yeah, there we go. and a lot of people wonder, okay, why aren't you unloading on the go? Well, with them duals and that header and the auger on those older combines, they weren't all really set up so you could unload on the go like these
You
days.
know, we never unloaded ours on the go either. Um, I would either run the grain cart out to wherever they were at, where my dad was at, um, or when I was driving the truck into town, then he'd use the grain cart to just dump into until I got back.
Okay, right. Well, that was more it. We you don't see it in this video, but we also had a have a semi with a grain trailer and whatnot, and we've already made it back around the other end of the video. But for those new just joining in, that's me in the tractor there, probably age 14, I think. Yeah, actually, yeah, it would have been about 14 there. So me and you were both doing this, You were on the other end of the
Yeah.
county, though.
Yeah.
But so okay, we've kind of made it all the way around. So I think I'll open it up and we'll um, move on into my regular set here, and it's kind of a treat for those viewing on my channel. I have, and you'll see here in a bit once the lag catches up here. But I have some of my toys. Some are from my, well, actually a lot of them are from my childhood, and then others are some of my sons that gotten him. So there's a little bit more modern equipment here, but this isn't everything. I do have a toy collection. I do have my original pedal tractor is just out of frame over here, but anyway, okay, so we're kind of officially starting the stream. We were kind of reminiscing about the old days, and we'll probably do a little bit of that, our old growing up on the farm and the old equipment we used to run. But we'll relate it to kind of what the game is. But Skull52, I got on the phone here. He's streaming live on his channel over on Twitch, and right now, and he's doing Farming Simulator right now, and we're just going to chat about what's up and coming in the new release. And to kind of tease this before, I'm not a farm simmer yet, but I'm excited about this release because it's going to have the cross-platform play. And I guess I'll let you take it from here and kind of explain what's new and what you like, what you're excited about, what maybe you're not so excited about, and what you think you'll miss as moving to this new platform. So I'll kind of let you take it from there. I'm probably going to be just asking a lot of questions. And if you're in the chat, I'm monitoring the chat here. Skull52 is monitoring his chat. So if you got anything you want to ask or talk about or your opinions, feel free to leave them in the chat, and we'll kind of get to them. All right. So I guess kind of take it away.
Well, I guess the first thing is you talked about the crossplay, so they finally added crossplay to Farm Sim, and so
and
now you can.
that's kind of a big deal, especially for like me, because I would be a PC gamer, and well, previously you and then some of our other friends, were Xbox and maybe PlayStation platforms, and we couldn't all join in if we wanted to, but now we can.
Yep.
Now, can you explain some of the limitations to that for those out there that don't know, and me myself that doesn't know?
Well, so unlike PCs, consoles don't necessarily have free reign on all the mods. There's mods that because of stuff like scripts that are written into the mods,
Makes sense.
Consoles can't have extra scripts on them, and so they don't get all the mods that the PC users do. So that will be one limitation is you can't if you're on a PC, you can't just turn on whatever mods you want in the game and then expect your friend on a PlayStation or Xbox to just be able to jump in. You gotta kind of coordinate it a little bit. Um, it's a little bit easier when you're doing it like from PC to PC because or console to console because if they try to jump in and they don't have the mods, it'll tell them what mods they need to go get and
Okay,
then before they
that
join.
was a
That
question
that
I
that's at
wondered
least without the that's at least without the third party mods on PC. I've actually never tried it with
with
I've
official
never
mods.
tried multi yeah, I've never tried it without with PC, I guess.
Okay,
So
make yeah makes sense. Um, but that's interesting. So you'd hook up on the same server or whatever, but then it would tell you, okay, you need this or that to be able to join in um, with this.
yeah, yep.
Is
It would
is that
it would tell.
similar? Is that similar to other crossplay games? Not just like Farm Sim, but
No, it's kind of unique. It's pretty much unique to this that I know of, but then again, I've only played crossplay on like on Fortnite
okay.
and Call of Duty where the setup is already there, so um
Or they or probably they control the universe or kind of have more control over the universe. I'm guessing.
yeah,
Whereas
there's not basically there's no mods for you to go get, so there's no way for you to
have something that
um
somebody doesn't else have. Okay.
yeah, yep.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Well, that almost intrigues me more about Farm Sim, and then being able to do crossplay with this kind of a game. And I'm sure there's other games out there. I mean, I'm not I'm not a modern gamer. Obviously, we have Atari 2600 Junior Pac-Man going here, so that's kind of where I'm at with gaming. So this whole PC gaming. Oh shoot, I am emulate stuff, but it's all retro game. So yeah, this is a new world to me, and that's kind of what
Yeah.
I wanted to
Well,
um,
and
find out.
something else just speaking on the multiplayer. So, um, you the person who's hosting the game for the multiplayer, because someone's got to host it. They're kind of like your moderator, um,
Okay.
but they can turn on privileges for the other users. So when the other teammates come in, they can't just go turn around and go buy 50 John Deere combines
Okay. Well,
until
that's
the person modding it um or the person hosting it tell it gives permission to them. And another thing you could do playing multiplayer is you don't necessarily have to play on the same farm. You could be on the same map and you could have like three or four different farms going or however many people you got in it.
okay. That's interesting because well, let's talk about and we'll get around to some other like things you're looking forward to, maybe things you're worried they might change or take away, and then of course quality of life mods. I want to get into that later too, but let's talk about how me, you, Derek, Jason, the others that at least the four of us that we know we want to get together or try to get together sometime, and we're going to stream all this. So you guys watching either mine or our Skull stream, you know, we're gonna do this a lot of times online, so you guys can watch in if you'd want and watch us kind of fumble our way through, I guess. But how do you see? Let's pretend in a perfect world we all can set a time and get hooked up. Are you seeing us all on one map and each of us sort of doing our own thing, or
Well, we have to be all on one map.
well,
Um,
okay, maybe I'm not saying okay. All what I mean is I meant okay. We're all just going to work on one field, or can each of us have our own quote farms, and then we could go either help or well, we wouldn't compete, but you know what I mean. Kind of like in real life, you're waving to your neighbor across the road as you're going by,
Well, I think maybe in the very beginning, our first map or two, we might just work together on one farm. Just to get a couple of you caught up on what to do a little bit. I mean, it's not
especially
a,
probably me. I mean, I'm used to.
it,
I'm gonna hold it up here. I'm used to
well,
a joystick. I'm used to a joystick and one button. No, I mean, I've played NES, and PS1, 2, and whatnot. So I'm used to more buttons. But I joke. But
but
anyway,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, eventually I would like to branch out and like I think it'd be fun to have like 4 different farms going and then be like, hey, uh, hey John, I need you to help me with this harvest, and you come over and you help me with the harvest
okay.
or whatever.
Well,
Hey, I mean,
because what I'd like to is like, okay, I'm doing my thing, la di da, and then here I am, doing this, turning around, doing my headlands, and then and then just seeing you coming down the road with whatever, going wherever you're going,
and
because
and
that's like real life.
here's
That's real life, and then we meet at the hey, do they have a can our characters all go to the virtual coffee shop?
yeah, we could
No,
have
I was joking. So that's like,
no, we could really have a coffee shop.
well, okay, well, this is way off
There's
topic,
a
and I didn't
mod
really
for
want,
that.
I didn't really want to go down this road. But we had chatted offline about uh, figuring out how to make our own mob or maps and whatever. And I was like, well, could we could we build our own shortstop and all meet there for lunch or bugbees, you know? But anyway, uh, no, I was kind of joking when I said that, but no, I wouldn't. Doesn't surprise me that you do that. Oh, we John's still watching in here. Thank you very much. Is the mod mostly approved by the console makers or the game makers on the console? I'll let you answer that. That's a good question that I have too. Did I lose you? Shoot, might have some technical difficulties here. Let me see.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, I can.
Yeah, I accidentally switched it off. It was on my end.
Okay, did you get the question there? That's from
Yeah,
my
yep.
chat over here.
So if you go through Giants actually test every one of the mods that come out, and that doesn't matter if it's PC or if it's console. Everything gets tested.
So do you submit?
You will find.
So let's. I'll let you finish, but so let's our hypothetical situation. I make a map and I want bugbees there so we can meet for lunch. How does that work? How would that work there?
They send it to Giants, and they test it, and from what I understand about any map, well, not about any mod, they usually never passes the first time. They usually find something.
Well, I'm sure, and especially
they send you, and then they send you a list of, okay, this is what we need fixed, and the modder will go through and fix things, and then they resubmit it again. And they have what they have is called a testing list, and they actually publish a testing list so you can see what's coming out if you wanted to.
So,
and then
well, let me stop you there. So they do have a testing and kind of a vetting process, but are there some, mods like I would make, or we would make? Probably not going to, but I'm just saying hypothetically we would make that would get through that, but then players that then use them would there still be kind of some bugs or glitch, or is it more graphical glitches on that kind of stuff,
Um,
or do you see that kind of
no,
stuff?
it's there's still issues that the testers don't catch. See, here's the thing. They test it for what they can foresee, but they're not the ones that use it at the end of the day. And so the real world, or the real the farm simmers, use them in different ways and then accidentally break things, and then they have to either pull the mod, or it'll I guarantee you it'll happen with the game too. They'll, as of right now, they probably, the like this they've got this product, they're ready to ship it out, and with this pre-release, all these streamers, they're gonna start finding bugs. They're gonna report them back, and Giants is gonna immediately go back and to start reworking it, and then everybody else is gonna start next week and finding more stuff. And I mean, they can test it all. And one of the bigger streamers said this, they can test it all day long, but they don't,
They don't play
until
the
it
game
gets
like
released to the real world.
right.
Yeah, they it until it gets out and everybody uses it and figures out a way to break it. They haven't looked at it from every angle,
Yeah, that makes
if
sense.
that makes sense.
Okay. No, I
So
mean obviously nothing's ever going to be perfect out of the gate, especially if it's somebody building on top of their source code to make you want to make this little truck here that I'm holding in game. Well, you know, okay, and we want to make this little auger swing out. Well, it's like, okay, the mechanic for that could be, they could test that 10 different ways, and then some guys wanting to back it in a shed, and there's a hit box that makes it not work right or something. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I get that. Like I said, we won't ever. I mean, none of us have time to mess with that. With the maps and stuff. It's um actually on that point. Is that something that is going to be available? Is it currently available? Is there a want or a need for, like, I'm just going to call it terraforming in game? So, I mean, yes, what you're doing when you're, you know, the graphical changes when you're tilling the field and all that. But let's just say you wanted to um, use an in-game dozer and build terraces, for example, or not build terraces. You want to make a ditch or tear up a road or whatever. Is that something that's already currently available, or is that something that people
okay.
request? Is
So this is going to be kind of broken down into several different things. So yes, you can terraform, but no, you can't do it with a dozer. They have a special tool in the current game in 19 that allows you to terraform, make whatever you want. Um, it was mainly designed for more of like where you place your buildings. You may need to level it or
okay.
whatever.
Well,
Um,
okay.
I
So there
haven't
is
I
a
haven't seen too
mechanic.
many people actually. I haven't seen too many people actually build terraces. The other reason why I said this is kind of a twofold thing. So you talked about tearing up roads and stuff. You wouldn't necessarily use the terraform feature. You could also, depending on the ground shape and stuff, to tear up a road, you could use a plow.
Well,
So
I've watched you stream, and when you're dragging one of the wings of a field cultivator or something off the edge of your field. Graphically, it does nothing. I guess that's
yeah, no,
yeah.
the field does have boundaries, but with the plow, you can change the boundaries of that field.
Okay, so theoretically, you could probably do things that aren't possible in real life, like, you know, plow a cliff. But I mean, theoretically, you could do that, I guess, right? Like if it was a
Yeah,
map that had.
you know, okay, so this is you remember you've seen the Welker Farm map. You've seen me
Yes,
stream
yes,
that one.
yes.
Okay, I was watching. I ended up accidentally, or I shouldn't say accidentally. I ended up going into the stream one day. This guy had tore up all the roads and made these huge, massive fields, and then they decided in the middle of these fields to build these big mountains to that they could to go around and stuff. And none of the original roads were there.
Okay. Well, okay. No, that
They
answers my
completely
question.
changed the way the map looked.
Well, and see, I guess the reason why I ask is like, okay, well, if there was a map that was close enough to our old stomping ground, I mean, use your imagination. Like I said, theoretically, is it possible we could, you know, uh, make our own seven hills and stuff like that? That's where my
Yeah,
mind's going.
yeah. Well, and actually, there you wouldn't even necessarily have to look for a map that was you wouldn't have to look for a map that necessarily was close enough. You could always use something like what's called the flat map, which is basically just like a uh
An open world or sandbox
it
or.
open yeah, it's just basically a grass field that's just long and wide of a full size map, and it's all flat, and you could terraform that into whatever you wanted to.
Okay, well, I mean, I feel like that would take a long time, but I
It
mean,
it would.
you worked on a little bit here, a little bit there. I'm just wondering. It's got me intrigued.
Well,
Again, you've gotten me wanting to 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 do the game mostly so we can play together. Again, it's the time factor. When do we budget it in? But we can figure that
yeah,
out. Um,
yeah.
and like I said, Tucker, my son, he watches you every Saturday and Sunday morning, and and maybe that's when at least like maybe me and you do, and he's on stream too, kind of thing,
Yeah.
for as long as he holds his attention. But like when most of your streams, he watches dang near until, unless we got something we got to do and going, then we shut you off early. But usually we're watching till the end, doing other things. We're not, but he'll we got you on in the background.
Yeah.
But so yeah, well that's kind of fun. Um, well, with mods or whatever's in game, how about buildings? I mean, yes, they have their stock buildings, your equipment sheds, and then your animal shelters and things if you're into that. But what about customizable buildings like houses and whatnot? And of course, we've the junk piles too, that kind of stuff.
So usually in maps that stuff is already designed
Already
in.
placed. Okay.
Yeah, it's already placed. Sometimes the houses you can go into and sometimes you can't. It just depends on how detailed the map maker got. Um, Giants made in 19 Giants made all their houses or made the houses so you could actually go into them and go into the rooms and
Well, are
do a
they
little bit in them.
and
Um,
like when you do your if you want to add on or you want to change, I mean that's what I guess I'm getting at. If I wanted to make if I wanted to put an outhouse up where wasn't one wasn't on that map already, could I, is that something maybe choosable?
you could do that. There's a mod that you just have to download the mod.
Okay.
You
Oh,
could do little things like that, and I think with the junk piles, you could probably add them. You just have to wait or find the mod for that.
see, that's the thing
And I
on on
there
on
are
on my
people that
farm.
have made
I would
those
have
mods
to
in the
have
past.
I would have to have my boneyard, because stuff breaks down and you got to go out there and find a part. But
Yeah.
anyway, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, this is really um, kind of got me excited. Was hoping maybe Jason would pop in here and give his 2 cents. But anyway, because he'd know what we're talking about
Yeah.
or getting at. But okay, uh, well, what are some okay in the base game or what you've read about this release? What's some new things that's coming that's got you kind of amped up for?
Um, let's see. Well, one of the things is they just released here in the last week about the AI. It's gonna be um it's gonna be a little bit more than what is currently in game. It's I'm trying to think of the term there's a mod called Courseplay that's currently it's only on consoles currently. And or I mean PC, I'm sorry. It's only on PC currently. It is through Giants though. It basically it you go to a field, it generates a course. It figures out how many you do have to tell it like I want one head around or three or four, and then it figures out the path for the tool. You have
Oh,
to give it
okay.
some more information like the size of the like I need you to plant and it's 12 meters wide. Um and it'll generate a path, and then you can set the AI to um go work that field.
Oh,
This
okay.
is this is supposed to be well the what I've heard the term is this is basically a light version of that. Um, don't
Okay.
know all the specifics yet, but like it's going to be able to if you need the grain ran to the elevator, you can tell it to make a delivery there, and you can set it so that it loops back. So it'll go to the elevator, dump the grain, come back, and pick up the next load.
So are you saying before it just wouldn't do that?
No, it wouldn't. And believe me, that task, something like that, where it's just like going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
You do it about the 10th time, and you're just like, oh my god, I am so sick
Yeah.
of this.
Hey, we got another question here in my chat. Does Steam have a mod editor for Farm Simulator 22? Is that
You
something?
know,
I don't know if you
that
use
I
Steam, I guess, or do you?
I don't know if Steam has a mod editor. I do know that Giants has made everything free that you need to use to help with mods. But I don't know anything about where to get it, or
Okay.
I just know everything's free. They made everything free so that they openly want people to go out there and and create mods, and um
Well, and
they've always been really really good about that.
and
Um
that's the thing that you've opened my eyes up. And again, not a modern gamer, but I loosely follow what's happening in modern gaming as far as when it comes to loot crates and um, or loot boxes, and is basically a form of gambling and all those controversies and and all that. And it's like, oh my! And I tell you what, maybe it's just because the channels that I follow to get kind of that more what modern gaming is all about. All I hear about is that kind of stuff from your big AAA publishers, and that's what, and then also the like game passes or season passes and whatever. And in my mind, I'm sure it makes sense, and you could explain it, and maybe we will not right now, but that just shuns me away from even wanting to try to get into it because it's like, okay, it's pay to win. I mean, I can't, I got got a smartphone here. I've tried one mobile, two. mobile games, and got frustrated with basically paid. Got so far that I got to the point where it's like, well, I gotta I gotta pay to win, and then I was like, okay, F it, uninstall, I mean, I had fun. The game was fun, but it was like, well, F that. I'm not gonna there. And I'm like, okay, well, if I'm gonna spend whatever this is, but you hear the dollar amount, $60 a game, 65, you know, and worth the money. But then it's like, oh, but if you really want to do this, give us another $10, or here's a pack that will help you do this. Oh, there's another 15. I'm talking about like Sims 4, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
you know, and,
Well,
and I've read like and I know that's not. I'm painting a broad brush, and I know that's a specific game, but like with that, I follow a YouTuber that's big Sims fan all the way back to the original, and because he's a retro gamer YouTuber type, and like I counted it up one time of all just for Sims 4. It's been out 4 or 5 years now, or however long more. And all the packs they release every whatever they do, it's like there's hundreds of dollars if you bought every single thing. And I understand that's you don't have to, but there's some things that's like, oh, they kind of made this little mechanic that is a quality of life thing in this specific pack that really has a bunch of dud stuff, but you get that one little thing, and then that's $10 or $15 or whatever. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like Giant, what I've all heard from you and watched and all this, it seems like they're less like that. Now they're all out to make money, and that's fine, and they have the right to do that. That's not what this is about. But I feel like they have a very open community, and they want this open community, I guess.
yeah.
Is that an accurate portrayal or not?
So yes, they have the mods are everybody will tell you the mods are what makes the game. They'll release this game, and it would probably eventually die out if they didn't have the modders that keep adding new equipment and oh, you want to farm with this new I can't think of anything off the top of my head. New John Deere combine, and that didn't come with the original game. Well, here you go.
But let's use.
In your case, it's like, okay, well, this retro thing from the '60s tractor, we didn't release it with the game, and but now you can farm with it
That would
because a
keep me.
modder made it.
Let's
They
let
they
let's
do they do have their DLCs too. They do release packs. Uh, they I can't remember how many they release. They usually release 2 or 3 a year.
would
They probably have one planned for next spring already.
Okay, but let's use your example of this new John Deere combine that wasn't originally the base game. Now, I mean, I know a lot of it is somewhat vanity. Like with the retro stuff, for me, it would be kind of vanity, but I know there would be a detriment to it because if you're using it on a modern map, we've talked about this fields being so big, and you're only being able to pull a 16-foot disc versus a 30-foot or 40-foot.
Well, yeah, the retro equipment you're talking about, it would be like a meter to 3 meters, and in this kind of a field, it would take a week to
Yeah,
do. I mean,
well, I would
you'd have
find a
to split
map
the
that well, I'd find a map that would be appropriate for that. But
Well,
but anyway,
what
let's go.
you're probably gonna end up doing is you're gonna find a map that's at least somewhat close, but you're probably gonna have to make the field smaller, which you can do. And that won't be that hard. It's just that it's gonna take you a little setup to
Yeah, but let's
get it
use your
there.
example of here's this new John Deere combine. whether it's a large, and everybody thinks, okay, new must mean bigger, better. No, there's still kind of, small, medium, and large, even in modern equipment. So,
Yep.
but let's just say apples to apples. The base game, you're using this medium-sized combine, and then there's a newer iteration that still fits that medium. So you don't get cornhead here. I'm touching my toy here. This is a 12-row head, or no, 8-row. Well, whatever. You're still using an 8-row head, but you're just using a newer piece of equipment. In that mod, the most modern iteration of that 8-row capable combine, 8-row head and whatnot. Is there still other benefits on top of? Will that modern one mimic, say, like the capacity? Okay, you're still doing 8 rows, so you're not getting any wider. But can you? But let's say the modern one has the wider feeder house, it has the wider cylinder, or you're going from a conventional to a rotary, or single rotor to twin rotor. Is that built into the mod, so where you can go faster or shove more material through it? I guess just kind of like in real life, that's the idea. Is that what you see or not? You know what I'm getting at, I guess. I hope.
I guess I would say yes, but I don't. I think how it's handled is just the speed because it's a computer generation. So once the header hits the grain or it hits the weed, it's calculated that that's so fast. So it's just a matter of how fast the
Okay.
combine moves down the field.
Now let me ask you about tillage equipment to that point. Let's say you have effectively a, 90s, you know, 30-inch disc, 28, let's call it 28 foot wide. But then you have the brand new 28-foot wide, but it's got 32-inch discs and then maybe a harrow on the back. Just by making that one switch, you're doing everything else right. Are you going to see that in the yield, where like more yield, because you're getting a little bit more depth, and then also you're doing more finishing, where you don't have to go over the field with with some kind of finisher, maybe.
No,
Okay.
no, because it's not that controlled. The only thing that changes your
Oh,
yield is
hey, hold up, Chris. I can't believe who has just joined the chat here. Tim Bent. It's my old college roommate. I can't believe it. Okay, here's his comment. He's in my chat. I just watched a competitive mode a couple of months ago for the first time. It was super fun. It was the championships on Twitch. My employer has a team that was in the tournament. So like a farming simulator tournament, or
Yep.
just is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's even maps that you can have competitions on.
Okay. Now, how do they run those competitions? But I can't believe it. Of all the people to stumble.
So though I don't know
screen.
I don't know if they did. I don't know if what Ben and his company did or is the same thing. But the ones I saw, so you had you had your tractors. They were doing it in groups of 4. So there was 4 on each side, and you had to pack. You picked out your tractor that you were going to use, and then they had these preset fields with they started with grain, and they had a little bit of hay, and then they had a barn on the end, and you you started on your hillside, so you would never cross paths with the other 4 tractors.
Okay.
You each had a half on this field, and you started on top of this hill, and you would race down to get to the equipment because to hook up to like the baler and the
Okay.
swather and you were trying to you're trying to cut the grass as fast as you could and get it into the barn just as fast as you
Okay,
could.
so that's the type of conservation. It's funny.
That's the one. That's the one that I've seen. That's not. I'm not saying that's the one that they did.
Oh, I'm sure, but actually, Tim, what's the what kind of competition do they do? Were you involved in that? I'll see if he responds in the chat. But what I wanted to bring up when you talked about racing, I over in Europe they do plow races. I mean, maybe it's done over here, but I've never heard of it. But I ran across videos years and years and years ago. But they're like, they're obviously modded tractors. They got the fuel turned up, but I mean, they're old, um, uh, older tractors. I mean, they'd probably be 80s, 90s era tractors. But anyway, they're plowing competitions where it's speed plowing is what it is. And I don't know exactly how fast they're going, but I mean, they're plowing at like 20 mile an hour or something. And then when they make the turn on the headland, because they're using one ways, they just hit that turning brake, and I mean, some of them they hit that furrow and damn near rolling the tractor. But I mean, it's amazing that they're going like at least 20, maybe 25. Pulling a 6 or 7 bottom plow. It's hilarious to watch. But anyway, he says yes, that one you were talking about, that's the one. He watched it after it aired. He didn't join in it.
See, and I haven't even seen the official one. I was watching. They were probably the 8 biggest farm sim streamers in, I would even venture to say, in the world, and they were mainly from America and England,
Okay.
and they played that as a competition at the start of their stream.
See. Now you're almost going to get me into wanting to, enter into something like that. But I wanted to stop for a minute just because Tim's in here, and I wanted. I don't know. I don't know if I've told this out publicly, but the video we watched at the beginning of this stream, most of that was edited. Oh no, not that video. Our first MGR movie was edited on his PC in our dorm room, and actually, he's the reason I am into video or have video editing, and even have this YouTube channel. And anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up, but that's how I knew how to edit later that re-edit for upload to YouTube. That first farming video we watched at the beginning of the stream and we're commentating. So wow, stars must have aligned here. But anyway, John's back in here saying in my chat, are there any esports of this game on TV or the like from some other games? Well, I don't know about TV, but I know go to Twitch. I mean, they have those.
Yeah, I don't think on TV, but Twitch or YouTube is what I've seen it on.
Well, I've watched some competitions of just other games on Twitch. I've had some other friends that live across the country, relatives that have it participated. That like they didn't get very far, but it was just fun to watch them, because they were playing probably some shoot 'em up, not Call of Duty, but one of those kind of deals. The name is escaping me. It's the one old Swanee used to like to play, where you're kind of mechs and shooting. It's not Call of Duty. Look at how boomerish I am. Well, look at the TV over here, I guess. But anyway, Tim does with a smiley face. But no, Tim, you're the reason I have a YouTube channel and that I can even have even done like with video what I what I have done. So, big shout out to you and I think about it every once in a while. But anyway, okay. Well, back on topic. I'm just kind of elated that I have someone I know in my chat that isn't a close friend or family. But anyway, uh, but what would you? I guess you're more experienced. Would you uh, enter into something like that if given you had, let's just say you had the time, to just devote to it? Would you probably do something like
Um, Probably not. I think it would be fun to try just to try. But for me, farm sim is just more about just chilling and relaxing.
Well, that's what you've said, and of course, I think a lot of people with this, you know, uh, this with COVID and everything, probably accelerated that for a lot of people, including you. But you were
Yeah.
doing it before, so it's not like
Yeah.
it was because of the pandemic.
I I've been playing farm sim since 13. So this is, what this is my fifth release.
Right. And you're usually always a release behind. You were sort of telling me that, but this one's
I
really got you amped
so
up to buy kind of day
okay,
one.
so yes, I've always been behind. I played 13 when 15 came out. Or I got into 13 when 15 came out, and really like 13. I still really like 13. Um, Mainly because it had some things that they've kind of, some of it they've kind of took out, and some of it they've added, maybe
Okay.
gonna add back in a little bit. Um, but then when 17 came out, I was kind of playing 15. Um, but then that's where things kind of changed for me, or I finally got an up to date console, and I played 17 for a little bit, but I ended up going right over to 19. Um,
What prompted that kind of decision? I'm just
um,
curious.
I'm just trying to think. Well,
I mean,
so
what
I
was it?
had
Was it this the graphics or some again? What I guess that's what I want to ask is what quality of life feature are you hoping to see, or have you read about that's really got you amped up about?
I think the reason why I switched to 19 was just because I finally had the setup that I could be on the current one, and
Okay,
I had the setup to be on the current, and that's what everybody was doing, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. So
okay, so a little bit
that's
of peer
why I jumped
pressure,
over.
but just because you could, I guess maybe.
Well, and actually, when I jumped on the 19 bandwagon, that was when the Platinum Edition come out, um, and so I wanted to get the Platinum Edition. Little did I know that when I bought it, because I pre-ordered that one too. They weren't gonna have a map. It was just the extra class equipment. Um, but I was just happy to be able to be on the same version as everybody else finally.
Okay, yeah, so you didn't feel left out, I guess. The
Yeah,
FOMO, fear of
because
missing out.
because because it's like, okay, well, uh, now I'm watching all these streamers, but yet I couldn't play that.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean that does make sense. Because yeah, you want to, they're saying, oh, this is how cool. Now, okay, you brought up Kloss equipment and whatever in the stock game. What and you probably won't be able to list them all, but what kind of licenses does the stock game have? And obviously, like so, the modding community kind of makes whatever whatever you want in a way, but.
So with 19, they brought in John Deere. That was the first time they ever brought that in. The
Well,
modding
I imagine they
community
had to pay
before that
big
was,
bucks for that one. That's like getting
yeah,
like
but
if it was a
they
motorcycle game, getting Harley Davidson in there.
Yeah, but it was one of those things I think everybody was requesting, so it was just like, okay, we'll give the people what they want. Um, there's Case, New Holland, there's like a Brazilian brand called Stara,
Okay.
uh, Fent,
Well, obviously, it would have to
um,
have Fendt. That's like John Deere over. That's almost like John Deere in Europe.
yeah,
Actually,
um,
those are. I mean, I don't know. People have their own opinions. Actually, those are pretty fancy tractors. Or
well, I like him in game, but that's only because I can actually pick the color I want.
oh, well, I guess the first Fendt I ever saw was long time ago, but I it was well, it was a tractor, and they were pulling a well, they were just happening to use a Fendt. They were actually testing a baler, using it on our ground, and that was it wasn't New Holland, it was MacDon, or well, I'm not sure. Might have been MacDon, but anyway, the they had what they were doing is just trying to break the baler, and we had uh, you know let him bale on our wheat wheat stubble, and they had the baler turned up, and he was baling at something like 18 mile an hour or something, kind of some ridiculous speed. And that baler's just hammering away. But I watched, watched him going down, and one of the field he was baling is like, that's rough. And it had that kind of air ride cab, and he's just in there floating around, and this baler's bouncing around on the back. He was going, way faster than you kind of normally would want to bale. And that's the first time, and I was like, wow, that you know, um, it kind of seemed at the time it kind of seemed like futuristic, to
Yeah.
me. But I guess maybe it's just because our equipment's always been old. I mean, I've got my toys sitting out here, and a lot of these are toys of we have the real tractors and used to use them. Uh, some of it we still do. Like, this is a toy of the combine we use, the 9610. And that's a what the hell, almost 30-year-old combine now.
Yeah.
And whatnot, and cat tractors and such. But you know, but anyway, I mean, speaking of brands, since we brought that up, uh, your family was more kind of red, as in was it international, or was it Case, or before the merger stuff? Or what was
It was international.
okay? Um, we were well. What I we were pretty much green up past the 60s, but before that it was red. It was the farmalls, which would be international before Case, before all that JI Case or swallowing them up. But
Yeah.
so that's like what my grandpa and stuff did. We didn't have the older John Deere tractors, but once that new generation come out, the the 40 3020 4020 series. Well, we have a 3010, the 10 and 20 series, and then the 40 series stuff, 4430 and whatnot. Though that was my jam, I guess. So you probably grew up in the in like a 1066 or a 1086 or something like that, I'm guessing.
1086 kind of sounds familiar. We
Okay.
also had we had it must have been one of the last international combines, or not combines, tractors before they got bought by Case, but it was painted and looked like a Case.
Okay.
Um, and I want to say it was like a 5088 or something like that.
Okay, so that was before they went into their Oh, what did they
and it
call
was
those?
a
Did they call them the
it was
Titans or
a
something?
it was a turbo diesel.
Yeah, yeah, and
Um,
I remember that
that was
was.
my that was a tractor that I got to drive because I was just in fields in that thing, and yeah, I love that tractor. I miss that tractor.
So now, do you have that mod in game so you can relive your childhood?
Y- yes, I do. They someone it was on the actual mod hub, so someone had it in there, and yeah, that was like, yep, I gotta have that one. And they had the other cases that we had too. The only thing they didn't have was our gleaner, um, and I can't seem to find the exact one we have. I've gotten really close to the gleaner combines that we do did have, but
I'm trying to think era-wise what that could have been, because it probably wouldn't have been like an R series, because that would have been kind of
no, I think it
brand.
was
That would
an
have been like
N.
brand new then, and none of us could afford that kind of stuff.
It
Because
was an I think it was an N series.
okay, yeah, you know what? That would probably be about right, because that would have been probably late '70s, maybe early '80s vintage. That probably is
And
about right.
my one of my friends growing up used to call it the Flame Nun.
Yeah,
That
well,
was his
and I
nickname for
and
it.
well, and here's the thing, and I guess this probably comes from my dad, um, uh, more than anything is, anytime I see a gleaner, an old gleaner, uh, or well, even a modern gleaner, I still call them Baldwins, but and they haven't been Baldwins since before Alice Chalmers bought them, but I guess because they were designed in Kansas, kind of near us, that the Baldwin Gleaner combine, the very first one, was invented down. I forget the town, but it was the Baldwin brothers, and basically it was a combine built around the power plant was built, and the self-propelled to make it self-propelled was built around I forget the exact model, but a Ford or a Fordson tractor. But the whole thing was the combine part was a different design than the pull types of a little bit different design than the pull types at the time that people were using. Um, and I can't remember, if I'm remembering my history, I don't know where the uh, Massey's 21A, the Million Acre Harvest Brigade combine came in. That was somewhere around there, but anyway, I guess as a kid, I just remember seeing old gleaners, like yours and older, and just thinking they looked odd. Why weren't they painted? Why were they just galvanized sheet metal? They looked very crude compared sitting next to an
Oh, I
International or a Case or the John Deere or the Massey are the big ones we'd see around. Gleaners just stuck out like at the time stuck out like a sore thumb, because you just saw every nut and bolt and rivet and everything, whereas everybody else painted it all up and they looked a little bit sleeker, I guess. I mean,
oh I always
but
I
those
always
N
thought they looked
series were,
I
were
always
were a
thought
shift
they
away from that. I'm talking about stuff from more like the 50s and 60s, is I guess
I
when
was gonna say I always thought they looked kind of futuristic, or at least
well,
ours did.
they did, and then into like that N series, yeah, and um that's I'm talking I'm talking the earlier stuff, in again, like more like the 50s, when the farming boom really started kicking in.
Yeah.
They looked they looked old, even when they compared to their contemporaries of the same time, I guess. To me as a kid.
Mhm.
But, uh, and they had a little bit different design to them, with having the uh, some of the pre-threshing down there at the feeder house, but on some of those models. But yeah, but
Well,
that
and something it's a brand you'll like for purposes is they do have cats in there.
Okay. Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, like the little toys I got here. This is Caterpillar went before, before they were part of Agco. Um, see, that's what
I
I'd like
guess
to do is somebody modding a 75C here and a 40 and a Cat 45.
so. I I'm assuming they're still going to be in game. They were in 19. If they aren't, I'm sure someone will mod them in.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to. Well, once it drops and you do your live stream, and I'm going to try to watch as much as I can, but you do what you want, but then go through and kind of highlight some of that stuff for me, and then once I get around to.
Well, so here's the deal. The mods actually probably won't be out until sometime around Christmas. So
Well, right. I mean,
basically
I'm not going to
everything
get the
up
game right
until
away because I'm.
well, no, but what I'm saying is like basically everything I'll have at my disposal will just be what's in game.
Well, right, but I'd like to see, does it have some stuff right away? I know it's not going to have the vintage stuff, but I mean, the more modern things, I guess. That's different than 19, I guess.
They are starting, from what I understand, the main vehicle packages, like the starting equipment, it's gonna start in the 90s era.
Okay.
So then I guess it depends on how. I mean, I know you want more vintage than that, but I mean, for some people, that's gonna be kind of nostalgic.
Yeah, but you know what? I even that, even though I didn't operate those pieces of equipment as new, I mean, that's the thing. This 9600, 9610 here, this is 1997, so that's maybe going to be in there. But I do, and you would too, going to, well, I don't know if you guys went to 3I. That was always down in Kansas. It moved around. Garden City, the Great Bend. But Husker Harvest days, that's, when I have good memories of, cohesive memories, I guess, of going to those. Well, I know, and we've talked about that. I don't have it here. No, that's right. It's up in my other area. My one monogram money and got 1992. That and so that's an era of, I remember when that stuff was new. And seeing it, sitting in it, watching demonstrations and whatnot. So, no, I mean, it'd be nostalgic, even though I didn't get to run any of that stuff. It would still, that 90s stuff would still be nostalgic from just, I remember the brochures and people running that equipment, and the way the new style of the tractors where they got more aerodynamic or rounded versus the more squared off of the previous kind of generations. All of them seem to kind of follow that in that era. You know what I mean? Kind of like cars. That's like the bubble car era. Well, it's kind of the beginning of the bubble tractor era. Although they are very bubbly, in my opinion, today. They look too nice to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
anyway. So kind of getting back to a feature that I'm looking forward to in this new version, something I am really excited about is they're gonna have used equipment for sale.
Oh, yeah. What? See, that's right up my alley, because just to be a glutton for punishment, I'd want to just run used.
I'll have to explain that. I feel I should explain this a little bit more, but one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this feature on here is I'll take 13 and the combines as an example. So there's 2 or 3 starter combines. They're really small, or they don't have very big wide headers. Like they're 3 or 4 meters long.
Okay.
And then if you wanted something in the 6-meter range, in a little bit bigger capacity and whatnot, so the starters started around $100,000. Well, the next combine up was $200,000. And
Okay.
so then that's, obviously that's quite a jump, especially when you're starting with small
Well,
fields. That
sure,
took a while
yeah.
to get to.
Well,
So
that's like real life. I mean,
yeah,
more
well, it
like
is.
real life, I should say.
So this used feature is going to be make it even more like real life, and hopefully make it a little bit more accessible to be like, okay, well, I can't afford that new $200,000 combine, but guess what? There's one on sale.
For
That's like
75 or something. Okay.
75 or 135 or whatever. The reason why I feel like I should explain this. So, um, they're gonna have, like you would expect, they're gonna have hours on it.
Yep.
Well, the other thing is, I guess I'm gonna kind of end up going into explaining maintenance on. So Farm Sim has a maintenance thing. You don't actually sit there and turn a wrench, but
Well, right.
um,
Probably not.
but it does, the more hours you put on something, um, it starts slowing down, and paint starts fading and whatnot. Well, you have to take it to the shop, and you pay, like, I don't know, depends on the equipment and whatnot, how broken down it is and whatnot. You may pay $50, you may pay $200, you may pay $1,000. Well, anyways, this used equipment's already gonna come with that kind of stuff on it, so you may buy it for $130,000, but then you may end up paying like $2,000 of maintenance fees to get it back up to
Well, all right.
snuff, and then like used equipment, it'll have all those hours already on it.
Okay. And that will
So,
affect its efficiency. Well, I mean, like I said,
um,
efficiencies and.
until you do the maintenance on it, it will. Once you do the
I kind of
maintenance on
like
it,
the
it
idea of like
won't.
the paint will be faded and stuff. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like, I know it's just for decoration, but the junk laying around. That's kind of,
Yeah.
because, well, I
One
mean,
eight.
that's one of my major gripes about any game these days, and I understand. It's amazing, like the racing games and and whatnot, but and they do a dang good job, but it's like still stuff looks a little too pristine all the time, and I know even some games put in like damage and all that stuff, but it's the car still runs until they just make it, okay, you're past a point and it's like, okay, it just stops almost. Where this
Yeah.
sounds like it's trying to get to the point where it's like, okay, you know got 10,000 hours on this. It's like I said, it's gonna break down on you, you know,
Yeah.
kind of thing, or whatever. Whereas a racing game, it's for the most part kind of cosmetic. I mean, I know they do sometimes try to alter the handling characteristics or something. Yeah, just the looks, it's still, even when it's beat up, it still looks too good.
Yeah.
So I'm really kind of interested to see how that works, and I
Well,
almost
and
wonder why it took so long to put, even if it doesn't look the part, why they didn't put a mechanic in there, a game mechanic. What I mean is that replicates, a degrading performance, I guess. I mean, I know you
they
have to like
do. I
power
mean,
wash
it
your equipment, but is it truly that important?
um so they have for a long. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I don't remember if 17, if he had to fix it. I don't think he did. Maybe he did. I just don't remember. But 19, it's always affected the equipment and stuff. The thing is, you've never seen the paint fade on anything because I never play the map long enough
Oh,
to fade the
okay.
paint.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and the other thing is, I was just thinking about this while you were talking about it. Some mods, um, some modders realize, it's a farm, stuff fades and whatnot. You can buy it with the mask of you. They'll make it an option to buy it faded or
Okay.
whatever.
Well, I
Just
guess in this case, I like the idea that it slowly would degrade over time.
yeah,
Like subtle changes here and there. I guess I like
yeah.
that. I like the idea.
Mainly the only thing you notice is just the performance. Instead of going like it's supposed to be going 9 miles an hour, it starts going 8, and then it goes 7, and it just slowly starts losing more. It slowly
Dumb
starts
question.
losing
Do you ever get
speed.
dumb question? Do you ever get flat tires, or they built that in there?
No, there's no flat
see,
tires.
see, that's like the story of our life. So maybe that's a request they should do for 23, or maybe that'd be a DLC pack.
And this used option has been something that's been in the mod hub. It's like horseplay. This is the first version that they're actually bringing it into the game, in the regular game.
Okay.
And I mean, you don't know because you haven't been around it long enough, but that's kind of how they've come up with adding new features into each version of the game
Is
is they
see what
find stuff
are the
that's
popular
popular
ones.
off the mod hub, and then they turn it into the game.
Well, no, that's good because I feel like that some games that's not common. I mean,
And that may be
it's
another
probably
reason.
common in sim games, but for example, like there's all these, of course, skins and mods for like GTA 5, but that's been out like 10 years now, or well, maybe not 10 years. But it's not official. Like Rockstar didn't come up with that, for example.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Like I said, it's got me looking forward to, dipping my toe into, modern gaming, and which I always wondered what it would what would bring me into it, because we've had this conversation for 15 years. You've always sort of kept up with it. I mean, yeah, like you say, you're generation behind, but that's probably pretty common, you know. But I've never been compelled to buy into it for the reasons we've discussed earlier. But this has kind of got me. It's softened, like, okay, I can just spend whatever on the base game, and then it's just my time and effort to download a mod or this or that, or maybe a couple bucks for a premium quality of life DLC. But doesn't have to be. I don't have to expect to pay $130 on a game to really get the experience I want, I guess. Where I'm going to be totally casual, about it. That's the.
So my cousin John just he messaged me on my YouTube channel and asked, is there cheats or different options you can turn off and on? Yeah, there's different options, like let's see. There's the mods we were talking about. You actually control the game. I can bring it up on my screen here. You can control the speed, like right now I've got on my screen right now I've got it set to real time. You can speed it up to 120 times. This is the fastest you can go. 5 times. It goes in increments, 5 times, 10 times, whatever. You can change the plant growth, which for some reason I have this one turned on fast. It shouldn't be. You can change the difficulty, and there's all sorts of ways to turn things on and off. As far as cheats, there isn't necessarily any way to cheat at this game. There isn't a this game is a sandbox game. There isn't necessarily an end goal. As far as like you have officially beat this game. This game is however you want it to be. So if your goal is to own every field on this map, and that's what you strive for, I mean, if to you that's how you beat this game, that's fine. But there's no actual way to cheat it. There are mods that make life easier. I've got one on. I've got
What
one.
is
I'm
one of those
currently
quality of life ones?
quality of life mods.
Well, like things,
to make it easier. So the biggest one I have was designed for streamers. It's PC only. It allows me to, if I needed more money, I can put basically what you would think of as a money cheat. I can put whatever amount in there I want. If I want to fill up my fertilizer without paying for it, I could do that too. I can tell it to buy every field without costing me any money. It just, I guess in a way it's kind of like a god mode for the game.
Okay. Yeah, so it's basically, if that doesn't make you feel empty, as far as, well, you didn't have to, quote, work in the game for that, yeah, you can do it. But if you want to not, yes, you'd like that $200,000 combine, but you only got $50,000. Well, I guess you aren't buying it, kind of thing.
Well, and so this mod it's designed for streamers. There's in the farm sim community, there's a lot of role players that make soap opera type farm videos, and so they need it for to adjust things so that it looks a bit more realistic, or to change things up for their role playing simulation and stuff.
Okay.
I have it because kind of like what you're saying. Well, you don't have 200,000 and you need that combine, or you feel like you need that combine or something. I have it so that the game doesn't get too boring for me, and hopefully not boring for my viewers. I can kind of change things up so that I can keep it entertaining for everybody.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Let's move quickly here to I was gonna say, like a character, I mean, you don't usually see your character unless you're getting out and walking around, but how much customizability are they adding more to that? So your character, avatar, whatever you want to call it, is there some new things like that? I mean, I'm thinking, original Sims type deal. They're always got, you can dang near replicate yourself or somebody or anybody because they have just so many options there.
So that is something they've improved on in this game. They had it in 19. You don't really see your own character. It's more for like when you're playing with your buddy and
okay,
and you run into them, then you have some kind of a look going on that they can see and
recognize you or
they
differentiate.
Yeah, and in 19 they only had like a handful of options. in this new one, you're supposed to be able to. I was watching the video on it. I think you're supposed to be able to change your hairstyle and your eyes and your
Okay. I was just curious. I
kind of
mean,
like other games.
not that it's a big thing, but yeah, if we're gonna multiplayer, I mean, we don't want to. I don't want to have all four of it. Four of us have the same face and it's just different shirts and jeans or something. I guess
Yeah.
is what I'm getting at. Could I?
No, and like if you whenever you get around to actually joining in with me, I'll I'll look pretty much the same. I usually have it with my bald head and
Okay.
whatnot, and like I'll probably be decked out in as much black as I can possibly get.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's kind of funny. I don't know if he probably won't hear this. I don't know, but anyways, the guy that my avatar right now reminds me a lot of Jesse.
Oh, okay.
Jesse, our motocross buddy.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know who you're talking about. Well, that's funny. Well, that's what I mean. Could I, if I wanted to have my have my character missing teeth, be Billy Bob, missing teeth and and stuff and the bib
I don't know about
overalls and
the
all, you
missing.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I don't know about missing teeth. But
Well,
like, yeah, they probably have overalls and stuff.
well, that's what
So
you
that
know
might,
what I mean. I want a real hillbilly. I want to
yeah.
be a hillbilly, or something.
Well, and the reason why mine reminds me of Jesse is because it's got, I don't know why that does it, but um, it looks kind of like him, but then it also has like this leather motorcycle vest
Oh,
that I
okay.
found that I put on him and stuff, and it's just like it's always reminding me kind of like him. Um, my cousin wrote again. He said, is the game money for all mods or just scenario?" So I think I kind of understand what you're asking. So there are DLCs that you have to buy, or you don't. Well, you don't have to buy. You could choose to buy, but for the most part, if you want to play for free, once you own the game, you can play for free. There's a there's a massive there's usually a massive mod hub. Um, it won't, because the game's new. It won't be going for a little bit, but there'll be plenty of mods that you can get for free, and it's pretty easy to add them. They made it so that all you have to do is click, and it's added into your game. So,
Okay.
um, so yeah, once you pay for for the game, then you can play for free after that.
That's kind of neat. Well, you know what? We've been streaming for I don't know how long, probably long enough, or at least I have. So I was kind of gonna think about wrapping it up. I mean, I guess you can keep on streaming on your end, but your game.
Well,
But
so there was one other thing I kind of want to talk about.
okay, go
Like
ahead.
we kind of brought it up at the very, 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 very beginning, but and this kind of goes into something that I'm maybe not looking forward to, or at least not looking forward to in the beginning. Um, so we were talking about plows, and I kind of said that I would talk about this. So in 19, the plows, I didn't care for them
Oh,
too
right.
much. They were too small. The ones that were in the base game were so small, and um if they were like 10 meters long, they were or 10 meters wide, they were long too. They were just so cumbersome and stuff, and that was something I definitely was glad the mod hub came out with, but it seemed like, so I bought 19 like a year after the original came out, because that's when Platinum Edition comes out.
Yeah.
And it was um it took about a year before any plow mods came out that were even halfway decent. So that's something I'm hoping that they improved it with the equipment coming into the game, or or otherwise I don't know. I guess I'll have to hire that out for a while or something. Maybe that'd be a good idea for course play. Because
Yeah.
it just about drives you insane. It maybe it's one of those things you wouldn't know until you actually have to do it, but
Yeah, this kind of sounds like it. But it's kind of funny because it's like plowing's, well, not necessarily. I mean, it's still done, but it's not as big a part of like around where we farm and such these days.
well, and that's the thing is like this game. So the Giants, I think, is in Germany,
Yeah.
and this game actually, I mean, it started over in Europe, and then it slowly spread throughout the world, but everything is not everything, but a lot of things are set up the way that they farm in Europe. They've started to kind of incorporate more American ideas to it.
Well, that's what I originally. Well, and I remember first hearing of Farming Simulator way back, and actually I had a how did I get this? I think it was a dealer promo thing. Got a CD-ROM back in the early aughts. Of course, I didn't have a PC of my own to play it on at the time. But when I did, it was already a couple years old, and it was very basic. But it was John Deere branded. But I was like, oh, and yeah, it's kind of fun. But and I was like, oh well, this is just something. Of course, John Deere Deep Pockets just made it just as a marketing thing. This isn't a it didn't seem like a real game. I mean, it was a real game, but then I heard that like there's this, because SimAnt, SimCity, The Sims, the original Sims, those computer games, early computer game simulation stuff, I knew about. And then somebody said Farming Simulator, and I was thinking of like those kind of games, like SimCity, for example, that I had played, and I'm like, really? Somebody, I thought it was almost a joke. Like, yeah, who would want to play simulate farming, and at the time I'm like, that's got to be a joke kind of thing. But no, it was real, and I guess that's just how naive I was about the type of gaming, because when I thought of gaming back then, and even now I have to get over it, that there's a game for just about anything.
Yeah.
Not just sim games, but
Yep.
all kinds of things. And
there's sim games where you drive a bus around and pick people
yeah,
up and take
well,
them to different destinations.
well, that's what I'm saying. Not even just the sim game, but I mean sim games, but just all kinds of stuff. I'm still, I'm still stuck in. This is a video. This here I'm pointing to on my TV. This is a video game. Or uh, Super Mario franchise. That's a video game. Or then like the first person shooter types. That's a video game. But uh, you know, cooking simulator or whatever, or that's not a video. I just it is a video game, but it's in my mind that's not a video game. I have to get over those preconceived notions. But this has really changed my mind on like modern gaming. Not that I had bad connotations, just that it's not for me. Modern gaming is not for me, I guess, is what I'm slowly getting over, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and like, so how I got into this was I had something like actually I had GameFly, and I decided it's like, well, I've heard about this game. I've never really seen anybody play it or anything, so I got it one day, and I've been hooked ever since. And I was like, one of those things where, I mean, well, you could probably relate a little bit to it, where you kind of miss the days, or nostalgia for the days of working in the field, disking back and forth, and not
Well,
having to
you know, I
think
joke like,
about.
oh no, but no, I can see how, yeah, without
And that's
any,
how I and
yeah.
that's exactly how I got addicted to this game. So
Well, right. Well, it's honestly like this YouTube channel and what I do on the YouTube channel, but other little projects. It's so different from my day-to-day job that, yeah, I understand what you're saying there. It's just a world away, and it's a bit of an escape. I got kids
yeah,
and stuff, so like I said, time's limited, but it would be a different thing, and it could be and it would be something that then they could be involved in too as they get old enough to do
yeah,
that kind of stuff. Well, because I'm I'm a proponent of not you know not limiting, like, no, you can't do that, but just managing the time, the screen
yeah,
time and all that. I'm not getting into that. Going to go down that road, but I mean, I'm not, like, when we grew up, video games, just you heard the term video game and the connotation was bad, or you played video games, or if you let your kid play video game, it's like you had to watch it because it's violent, or they would rot their brain and all that stuff. That's just not that's not the way it is anymore. Um,
yeah.
and like I said, a game like this is a different type of experience than that. So anyway, well, like I said, I think we've been on long enough, and
Yeah, and I think we covered pretty much everything that I could think of that I really wanted to cover.
yeah,
So
well, like I said, it's gotten me more excited to first see you playing it, and then I want to eventually get joined in, and hopefully the rest of us can all get together, and then I don't know, some maybe we can get a regular night going or something, but we'll
yeah.
just see, and we'll just see where it takes us. But anyway, to all viewers
Well,
out there, thank you for
be,
viewing. And
before you do that,
okay,
so I was just gonna say, so the game, like, again, it pre-releases, or like all the big streamers are gonna start tomorrow, and they'll be playing it for the next 3 days, and the game comes out on Monday.
Monday, all
Um,
right.
depending on what platform you bought it on.
And
Um,
when does your
and
when are you going to be able to stream?
so I won't get it till Monday, and I took off Monday and Tuesday, and
Okay.
I don't plan on sitting here and streaming 8
Well,
hours a
no,
day.
but
I am gonna, but I am gonna stream most of the day. I'm gonna take breaks in there.
right. Okay.
And actually, and something you'll get it. You'll love this. I actually think I'll be able to do my lunch hour stream on Wednesday.
Okay. Well,
Kind of,
um,
there's a little nostalgia there
yeah,
too for
yeah.
you,
Well,
but
actually, I have the week off, so I'll be able to catch you all most of the day if I or whenever you're on, pretty much. I
yeah,
mean,
I have to work. I have to work on Wednesday, but I've we're so slow right now, and we don't have so much. So I think I'm gonna push to work from home, and then over my lunch hour, when I'm not being paid or anything,
yeah,
I'll
I'm on the clock,
jump on,
and
and yeah, when I'm not
yeah,
on the clock,
I
then I'll
yeah,
jump on
that
and
that was
play.
that was fun when we could do that.
Yeah.
So
So I'll bring that back a little bit next week, but yeah, Monday and Tuesday I plan on streaming all day, and then I think I'll probably even do one. I'll probably have an extended weekend where I'll do one on Friday morning also. Because normally, anybody that doesn't know, normally I stream Saturday and Sundays from 8 to 10, sometimes 11 if I feel like it if things are depending on how things are going or the weather's bad or whatever. But
Right.
most of the time it's just 8 to 10.
Okay. Well, yeah. So make sure you promote it out there. I'll try to share it around too. Help get your viewer numbers up there. But and again, I'm gonna try to catch you some of that time too. So, all right. Well, like I said, I guess like, subscribe, follow us on our respective platforms, and hopefully some of you had some fun listening to us talk and whatnot. And we hope to get the podcast somewhat regularly started back up after a while here, and get some guests on and things. So
we still got stories and stuff that we haven't even touched on yet.
Well,
so
exactly.
We got plenty of content
we got
go
some
over.
ideas on some guests that I think will be fun, sprinkled in there. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna cut mine short. I guess.
Yeah. No, I am too. I gotta go to work in the morning. So
I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right.